Welcome back, boys and girls. It's your boys Raj and Rambo. As we promised, plenty of content coming your way. The round of 16 has just kicked off and Liverpool have lost to Atletico Madrid 1-0. Raj is by the board and looking pretty excited.
Yeah, excited. Bit of a shock, so it's good to analyse it.
Yeah, plenty to look forward to. Also, you're going to see some of your comments coming up on the screen. Thank you for the feedback on our Champions League preview. And obviously, if you enjoy this video, make sure you drop a comment, drop a like if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I have a quick question for you guys, and I'm sure Raj will answer it during the video. Why does Diego Simeone get so much stick? Sorry, Jose Mourinho gets so much stick when he parks the bus, whereas Diego Simeone gets plauded. Some people say it's a masterclass. Let me know in the comments below. I'm actually interested to know why people think that. And we'll tell you in this video how Liverpool could break Atletico Madrid down at Anfield. But before we do all of that, let's have a look at what Atletico Madrid did today. Raj, you and the board can continue your bromance.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I think we'll get straight to it. I think Atletico did a set up in a 4-4-2. We knew they'd set up that way. This had been the tried and trusted system under Simeone. And interestingly, we mentioned it before in the preview video. It's very similar to that Napoli 4-4-2, which has halted Liverpool 4 separate times over the last 2 seasons. And particularly this season, it was very troublesome. And I think the same happened today for Liverpool. I think the key element of that 4-4-2 is these wide midfielders that Simeone plays. These guys work their socks off. Today it was Koke on the right, Thomas Lemar on the left. And those guys put in a shift today. They tracked Trent and Robertson all the way. I didn't see many chances for Trent and Robertson to get good crosses in. I think that was shown by Trent. He only made 3 accurate crosses out of 17. So that shows it right there. He wasn't getting into those good positions. And it was more crossing it from deeper positions here. And I don't think that was really posing much of a threat to Atletico. And they were happy to see him cross it in from there, to be honest.
Yeah, it was quite interesting also to see that Atletico were almost allowing Liverpool to go wide. They literally said, and we saw this as a common trend last season, that teams would say to Liverpool, can you play through us? And which is why when the ball went out to Trent, I actually noticed in the early stages, Lemar, we've mentioned before, is a little bit susceptible, not always switched on. Trent was getting in behind him a few times, but because of Lodi's athleticism, he was getting out to Trent really quickly. And so Trent was putting in balls into areas where I don't think Liverpool were ever going to really win aerial duels, and that was a big part of the issue. But then also Atletico's pressing, and the man you've got highlighted, Thomas Partey, and the rest of that team, the pressing was absolutely relentless. Yeah. And we mentioned in our Champions League preview that if there's any team in the whole of Europe or in the world that have that level of intensity that Liverpool do, Atletico Madrid are probably right up there.
I think you're spot on there, because Lemar, he did do okay on that left-hand side, but then Simeone thought, I don't want to take any risks. I've got the 1-0 cushion. I'm bringing on Llorente. He's more defensive-minded. Yeah. He put Llorente on the right, and then it was Koke on the left. And those two guys, they were so diligent in the way they track runners. I think what helped him, obviously, the Mane injury didn't help. Origi, he does offer himself as an outlet, but his combination play with Robertson is nowhere near as good. And I thought the wide threat, he stopped it, Simeone. And then, as a result of that, Liverpool did have those 3 central midfielders, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson. My problem today with Wijnaldum, and especially Henderson, they played way too wide. There was no central penetration in the middle. I think we said before the game, it might be a game for Naby Keita, and I was surprised he wasn't brought on. And I thought there was just no one in there picking up the spaces in the middle. Firmino actually did try and drop deep and do that, but there was nothing really there.
Yeah, you can see from the heat maps, Gini Wijnaldum almost played as a left winger. Henderson almost played as a right winger. And I think the part of the problem with that is not only is that a problem in midfield, but it's also a knock-on effect for the fullbacks. Robertson and Wijnaldum are almost stood next to each other so often, and it's easy to mark. If you are a team that's dogging and is going to work hard, you don't want to be basically doing doggies. You don't want to be running up and down after someone. You don't mind if 2 people are just stood next to each other, and that was happening very frequently for Liverpool on both sides, right and left. But then, as I touched on Saul just a minute ago, I mean, if I look at these stats, this is a Spanish central midfielder who I regard as techie. If you don't know what techie means, he's wonderful on the ball, but his stats are outrageous. 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles, won 7 out of 10 ground duels, 3 aerial duels out of 3 that he won, 5 out of 5 dribbles attempted successful. Them stats are bonkers. That's a central midfielder who's doing both parts of the game. And I think the positive for Atletico Madrid, and certainly a negative for Liverpool, was in the first 7 minutes there was 3 balls chipped into Trent Alexander-Arnold's area, and in that Liverpool's right, Atletico Madrid's left, that was posing Liverpool a lot of issues. Morata got a bit of joy down there as well.
Yeah, and then you saw in the second half even, there's a chip ball over the top, Lodi was onside, plays it for Morata who completely misses his kick, but that was another big chance. So they were targeting that side, and I think obviously that comes from Salah not tracking back as much, and obviously that can be problematic for Liverpool sometimes. And I think it's also important to highlight some of Atletico's build-up patterns as well. They're not very complex, let's be honest here. There was a lot of balls going down this left-hand channel to Alvaro Morata, who kind of pinned himself on Joe Gomez and Trent, and he actually engaged in 20 aerial duels. And then you look at his strike partner, Angel Correa, guess how many he engaged in? 0. So it shows the game plan right there. They wanted to keep it away from Van Dijk firstly, and then they wanted to get it into Morata, who's obviously, he had mixed success, he won 7 of them, but the thing is, it wasn't all about winning them for Morata. As long as he put enough pressure, it meant that these two terriers in midfield, Partey and Saul, could then win the second balls. Or, in the second half, the other thing they did was they made sure Morata went even wider, and then they could get some throw-ins from it, and that killed the time and momentum for Liverpool.
Yeah. So we know what went down, we know what Atletico did right and what Liverpool basically did wrong, but how can Liverpool break down a low block? We've seen it against Napoli now, and we've seen it against Atletico Madrid, and a few times we've actually seen it in the Premier League as well, where Liverpool have struggled a little bit to break down a low block. So I'll throw out my suggestions, you can throw out yours after. I think the fix for this is probably playing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And now my biggest problem in this game was I was screaming at the telly, shoot. It's the simplest thing in the game, shoot. But I also think Klopp making them changes, he's made a few comments about Liverpool wanting to be the underdogs, and I think he's persistent on Liverpool being the underdogs. I think there's a psychology behind that where he's gone, I'll take Salah off, I'll take Mane off as a precaution because he's been booked, and therefore we'll be the underdogs in the second leg. Anfield will be a cauldron. And I think when you play against a low block, you need to have players that are willing to take chances and take risks. And I think Atletico Madrid will play even deeper than they did today at Anfield because they'll take no chances. And I think that should allow Liverpool to play Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, which should also allow more space and time on the ball for Robertson and Trent, in particular Robertson, because you won't have Wijnaldum pulling all the way to the left. Chamberlain will play a little more centrally, as we've seen this season. I think that is probably the fix, but I could be completely wrong. Klopp knows more than me, and Raj probably has a suggestion as well.
Yeah, I think there's several things that Liverpool can do really to improve. I think there's a lot of the classic Liverpool breaking down of a low block patterns that we didn't see. I think number one, we didn't see that Trent to Mo Salah combination much at all. I think that's part for 2 reasons. Reason number one, I think, was the play wasn't spread to Trent Alexander-Arnold first time much at all. Yeah. There was a lot of dilly and dallying in midfield, especially from Joe Gomez. He needs to fire that ball straight into Trent, because one of the ways to break down the low block is switching the play quickly. Because you can have Thomas Lemar tracking Trent all day, but sometimes he's not going to get there quick enough if you spread it to him quicker. And I think the other reason is Mo Salah wasn't really pinning himself on Felipe much at all. I was very surprised at that. I thought he did it once or twice and it didn't really work, but I think that can be the bigger option for Liverpool to do at times. I think another thing is I didn't see that ball from Van Dijk through the middle or from Henderson through the middle much at all. I think that's been another key facet of Liverpool breaking down the low block. Maybe that's because Mane, he came off in the second half. Obviously, we didn't see that from Origi. Mane's brilliant at that run from out to in. We didn't see that much at all. And maybe that's why Van Dijk didn't play that ball. Henderson didn't play that ball. Again, and the other thing is, you mentioned Oxlade-Chamberlain. I actually think Naby Keita will be a bigger part, I think, of the second leg from Liverpool's point of view. I think he can take a leaf out of Atletico's book. If you see what Saul and Partey do, they take men out of the game. And we saw that a lot. So, because they're so good at dribbling with the ball, the likes of Henderson and Wijnaldum got attracted to them. And then that left space on the flanks, I think Keita can do that similar job. He'll take men out of the game, and that will leave Trent and Robertson with more space on either side. We know Naby Keita is a brilliant dribbler of the ball. His final pass wasn't there at times against Norwich, but his dribbling was still there, even though it was his first game back.
Various routes to get there. I think one of the most frustrating things for Liverpool fans tonight was the switching of play, and the way the ball was transitioning for Liverpool was poor. It was slow, it was drab, it was dragging on. I think Salah's stats in the first half weren't very good. I think he is a key in the second leg. He only completed 5 passes at 55.6% accuracy. It's really not great at all in the first half of the Champions League round of 16. But as you said, I think that could be the vehicle for Liverpool. Let's finish with your favourite part, general themes. I think you're going to be rocking up with a few.
Yeah, I got a few. I think number one, I think, is you mentioned Saul. I think also his midfield partner Thomas Partey deserves a big mention as well. He created 2 chances in the game. 2 dribbles out of 2 he completed. 7 out of 10 ground duels. 3 out of 3 aerial duels. 5 tackles, most on the pitch. So he just, you know what, with this guy, he shows a bit of everything. He reminds me of a bit like Piqué N'Golo Kante, where he's got a bit more drive going forwards. He's a good ball winner. He's physical. He's quick. He can dribble with it. He's got a good short pass on him and sliding through balls in. He's got a bit of everything. I was impressed with that guy today, and I think he should be on the list for Premier League clubs.
All right, part of the potential mastermind behind that victory, but in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of Liverpool fans agree, the referee had a part to play in this as well, and it was peak Diego Simeone. So I'll let you do this because I don't want to get personal on Simeone. He might rock up at my house.
Yeah, you don't want that, do you? I think number one, you've got to praise what Simeone does from this point of view. I mean, it's not nice to watch, obviously, but it gets the job done. I think we saw him, firstly, he was telling Atletico players to stay down when they were. We saw him actually beckon to one of the players to stay down. Number two, I think he's actually coached them to get their body in positions to get fouls as well.
Yeah.
Because they're pros at doing that. The ball comes into Morata, he makes sure he gets his body in the way of somebody's leg. So if they tackle him, they have to go through his leg, and he gets a foul. Number three, him riling up the crowd against the ref. I think that's got to play a part. That's got to get into the ref's head. And I think it did, to be honest. But yeah, and then the last one, I think in the second half, what he did was he was telling the back four to pump balls into the wide channels just so Atletico would get throw-ins to eat up time. And then there's one point where Saul goes over to take the throw-in, bounces the ball on the floor, waits for another guy to come and take the throw-in instead. It kills about 30 seconds doing that. So he's brilliant at those dark arts. He must have his own book on it, to be honest.
Diego Simeone's dark arts, there you have it. I mean, I was going to basically go with the same general fees, but I knew you had a lot on that Diego Simeone, so I didn't want to take that from you. You guys in the comments below, answer any questions we have asked or any thoughts you've got on the video. Of course, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. There's plenty more content coming your way because there's so much more football, so stick around. We'll see you guys very soon.